Well, in Nigeria, a former governor is being sworn in this Monday as the country's new president. Bola Tinubu is taking over after 8 years of leadership under President Muhammadu Buhari. Tinubu is taking office during a time of big economic and security challenge, and his victory is being challenged in court by his two closest rivals. For more, I'm joined by our international affairs commentator, Doug Herbert. So, Doug, Nigeria is Africa's largest democracy, and it's quite divided at the moment.
It's rife with divisions. Look, Charles de Gaulle once said of France, how do you govern a country with hundreds of different types of cheeses? You might not see an exact analogy here, but Nigeria, in a sense, could ask the same question. How do you govern a so-called democracy of more than 200 million people, rife with ethnic and religious divisions? Remember, of those 200 million, it's roughly half and half, Muslim, Christian. Most of the Muslims in the north, Christians in the south. Now, the thing with the new president here, Bola Tinubu, one, he chose as his running mate a fellow Muslim, albeit a fellow Muslim from the northeast of the country, a former governor of Borno State, which is a hotbed of a lot of the Islamist violence, which has plagued Nigeria in recent years, and Boko Haram group as well. But the real problem here, I guess, is there's once again this disconnect, or a sense among many Nigerians that their hopes for a democratic change, their aspirations for democratic change are not somehow reflected in the results of this election. They see Bola Tinubu, as he's 71 years old, as yet more of the same. He comes from the same all-progressives Congress party as his two-term predecessor president, Muhammadu Buhari. So same party, same template in a sense. Will he have a different plan? Now, he likes to say he was he was the governor of Lagos, the commercial hub of Nigeria, and his fans credit him with reviving that Lagos's fortunes, economic fortunes, modernizing the city. But he himself right now, coming into office, is contested. There's actually an election tribunal, which is going to start hearings in the next day or so, with a verdict expected in the next 6 months, on whether or not the election was manipulated, as his two opposition challengers, his main challengers, allege. So he comes in already on weak footing under accusations that this was, if not a fraudulent, rigged election, at least very much a manipulated election. Will he be in office for long? Who knows? I mean, he could be there for years, or it could prove short-lived. But what we do know is he has that problem, and he has questions about his health. He spent in 2021 some time, months in London for an undisclosed illness. He was out of the country twice during the election period, post-election. People are just wondering, how fit is he for office? He's 71. He says, hey, I'm a lot younger than Joe Biden. So he fights back against those accusations, but still lots of questions.
Talk about these challenges he's facing aside from his health. He's facing some huge economic and security challenges in the country.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Where do you start, Monty? Soaring inflation, double-digit inflation, 1 in 3 people unemployed, 96 million people living below the poverty line. I mean, these are all statistics you can get out of, Wikipedia if you look. That's the easy part. The hard part is this. Ending the fuel subsidy is a massive challenge. For decades, literally, it seems, governments have tried to lift the fuel subsidy. That is the amount the government pays to make fuel oil, basically artificially cheaper to make it easier and less of a burden on the population. The problem is no one has succeeded until now in doing it. It's just proven too much of a heavy lift. And yet year after year, last year alone, the fuel subsidy cost Nigeria $9.3 billion. That gives you a sense. And it's an irony, a rich irony, that a country so rich in oil has to import petroleum products and subsidize them in order to meet the needs of its population. So how do you do that? How do you drive down the unemployment that I was just talking about? How do you meet all of the other penuries and needs of a population that is, a lot of them, for many of them, impoverished?
Okay, international affairs commentator Doug Herbert. Doug, thanks so much.